Hi, in this video we are going to learn how to make structured content in the platform of Lucid Learning. Right now we are at the landing page of the website and you can see that there are two major sections. The first section is the learners section. We can enter the learners section by clicking the button here. And then the second section is the teachers section. We can enter the teachers section by clicking the button here. Now before we set out and actually start learning how to make content, let's look at the form of content, how the content actually looks like once it's made. For that, we will enter into the learners section. We will click on this button and you can see that this is what we call a learner's dashboard. It has two rows. The first row contains all the mini courses in the platform and the second row has a collection of tiles which are the modules that are already made in this platform. Now, what mini courses are and how to make them, these questions we will address in another video. In this video, we are going to focus on just one question, what modules are and how to make them. Because modules are the basic units in which we make our text content. So let's enter into a typical module and analyze its structure. It's going to help us into deciding how to make them. So if I enter into this module, which is about general heat conduction equation in Cartesian coordinates, this is a topic in thermodynamics, by the way, I enter here. So before diving deep into how to write the content here, let's just first analyze the index because it will give us good insights into the structure of a module. You can see in the bold form, we have the name of the module. This is called module name. Then in a module, we have topics. Here we have two topics. The first topic is general heat conduction equation. And then the second topic is simplification of this equation in some special cases. Then for each topic, we have learning points. Now learning points are where we write the actual content. So for example, for the topic general heat conduction equation, the learning points are first, what is the basic form of the heat conduction equation? Second, what is the significance of each term in the above equation? Third, explain more about the heat generation term. And finally, how do we derive the heat conduction equation? Similarly, we have learning points for the second topic. They're highlighted in the screen as you can see them right now. So this is the basic form of any module, and this is how we're going to write our content. Just to review again, in a module, we have a module name, and then we have some topics within this module. And to explain each topic, we have a collection of learning points. And it is these learning points which contain the text content, which will be written by the teacher, that is you. Now we can look into the actual module here, which is in the left side. I will just scroll the page. You can see what all functionalities have been included here. So for example, this learning point, what is the basic form of heat conduction equation? It has some text, images. We can even put in videos if we want to. We will look into how to do that later. Then we have another learning point, another learning point. So this is how we are creating structured content. So let's just take a breather and also realize what all are the important properties of this structure and what will be beneficial for the learners if they learn in this way. So first important thing is, this module is highly structured. Everything written here can be categorized into a topic and then further categorized into a learning point. Then you can see that learning points are mostly in the form of questions or they are in the form of subtopics of the topics. This makes the reading flow to be highly conversational. And because we have such a tight structure, it covers everything in this module. There is no text content that is written outside of a learning point. There are possibilities in the future to make a much more structured visual representation, for example, a PowerPoint presentation out of this particular format. Right now, we are only focusing on the articles just to keep things simple and to learn how to actually make a module. Now that you've looked at how a module looks, how a module feels like, in the next section, what we are going to do is look at the process of creating a module. Now we are going to look at how to create a module. Before entering into the teacher's dashboard, I want you to focus on these three keywords: brainstorm, organize, create. So this is the entire process of creating the module. What we have done is try to simulate the natural process of thinking that is going on in a teacher's mind while creating a module. So for example, when you think that you want to write about a particular topic, you write the topic down there and then do some nonlinear thinking in terms of what all you want to include in your module. Then once you have a list of non-linear brainstorming points about what all you would like to include in your module, it's time to organize these points into our module structure. As we've seen already, a module structure comprises of a module name, which has a collection of topics, And then each topic has a collection of learning points inside it. So we will see how to translate the non-linear brainstorming points into the module structure that we fixed into the organized section. And then finally, once you've created the structure of the module, it's time to write content. What we will do is write content for one learning point at a time, which will help us be more concentrated and be more efficient in our writing process. So with this context in mind, let's proceed further and explore the teacher's dashboard. I click on this button now, and you can see again we have two rows. The first row talks about modules and the second row talks about mini courses. We're not dealing with mini courses in this video. We are only learning how to create a module. So the second and the third tile in the modules row talk about finished modules and unfinished modules. So these are the places where we will find the modules that you've already finished, or some modules that you've started but they are in the process of getting finished. Let's try to make a new module from the start, from the scratch. For that, I will have to click on this button which says new module. Once I click on this button, you can see that an interface is open, and this interface has two major sections. The first section is the brainstorm section. The second section is the organized section. Okay, so let's think of a topic in mind. What topic would we want to write? For example, let's try to write about charging of macroscopic bodies. So this is a topic in physics, and we are going to look at the sample process of creating a module, taking this topic as an example. So charging of macroscopic bodies is the name of the module. Once I've fixed the name of the module, now I will start thinking about what all points to include in this module. So for example, the first thought that comes into my mind is macroscopic bodies. What are macroscopic bodies? There are three states of matters, right? There can be three types of macroscopic bodies. One could be a solid, a liquid, or a gas. But in physics, because I am an expert in this chapter, I know that this chapter predominantly deals with solids. So even with the solids, we have three different types of materials. Some materials are called conductors, some others are called insulators, while the remaining ones are called semiconductors. So this gives me a good clue. What I will have to write in this module, the charging of macroscopic bodies, is I'm assuming that the charging process would be different for different types of macroscopic bodies. So I've written conductors, insulators, and semiconductors here. Okay, so this is brainstorming that's going on, but as we know that in our brain, the thought processes are highly iterative. Sometimes we do some brainstorming and then we start organizing our brainstorming points into the structure as well parallelly. So let's stop our brainstorming for a while here and get into the organized part. So I will make the first topic as introduction. I would like to explain to my students what all are they going to study in this particular module. So to describe this topic of introduction, I will take help of two basic learning points. The first learning point will be what is the basic idea covered in this module. And then the second learning point will be what approach are we going to follow here. Alright, then we can move on to the next topic. So based on my knowledge, I know that I will have to talk about charging process of solids differently, charging process of liquids differently, and of the gases differently. But in this module, I'm only focusing on solids, and even for solids, we will categorize things into conductors, insulators, and semiconductors. So the next subsequent topics can be charging of conductors. Then I can have another topic as charging of insulators. And finally, a fourth topic as charging of semiconductors. And within charging of conductors, what all learning points would I need to know to explain this topic? I think the first learning point could be the charging process must depend on the internal structure of conductors, right? So what is the internal structure of conductors? That would be a good learning point for the students. Then what charging method is used for conductors, because there are multiple charging methods, right? So I will again make use of the brainstorming section here. I know that some charging methods that I want to include in this module are conduction, then there is induction, and then there is charging by friction. Alright, so there's one cool feature about the brainstorming session, that once you think that you've covered a particular brainstorming point or it is no longer relevant for you, you can just check it out. So it will come into another list known as closed points. So there are two lists in the brainstorming session. The first list is that of the open points, which you are still to address. And then the second list is that of closed points, which comprises of points that you don't think you want to include in this module, or those points which you've already addressed in the module. All right, so what charging method is used for conductors? All right, so right now I will write only these two learning points for conductors, and then you will notice one important thing, that these two questions, what is the internal structure and what charging method, these two questions are applicable even for insulators and semiconductors, right? So I'm just going to copy these learning points here like this and just replace this word conductors with the word insulators. Similarly, for what charging method is used for conductors, again I will just replace that word. Okay, so this is how we will be able to write or make the module structure. This is an entire module structure. Now, I also want to expose to you some functionalities of this particular interface. For that, for example, let's say we decide that in our module, we only want to include the first three topics, and we think that we no longer want to include the fourth topic. In that case, we can simply delete this fourth topic using this cross button here. And then let's say if we wanted to change the order of learning points, then we could use these arrow buttons to change the order. If you want to change the order of the topic, you could again use the arrow button to change the order of the topics. In case you want to edit something, you could use this edit button here, and then you can edit the name. You can edit either the module name. For module name, you could click this button and this will open the interface for you. Similarly, for topics and learning points, you can do appropriate editing, ordering of the content, as well as deleting of the content. And one more thing that we allow is if you want to abstract things. For example, while you are thinking about what should be an appropriate structure and you've closed down the structure for one particular topic, you can simply click on this button and then we won't show you the learning points of this particular topic. You can still see the learning points of other topics, right? And then if you think that you want to make more editing changes for this particular topic, you can again click on this button and then the detailed view will open again. So these are the functionalities that have been provided in this interface in order to provide you the maximum flexibility while brainstorming your learning points as well as organizing them into our module format. Now, what to do once you've already organized the module format using our interface? All you have to do is hit either this button which says write content or add content to this module. Let's hit this button. Once we do this, you can see that a form has been generated. In this form, we can see that there are these editors. These editors are like Microsoft Word interface. You can see we have options for including bullet points, including images, links, videos, and writing text content. You have options for making the particular line bold, underlined, or italics, or including quotes as well. So, and all these editors are tied to each learning point here. For example, we have discussed this learning point. What is the basic idea covered in this module? Now we can start answering this learning point. For example, in our specific case of charging of macroscopic bodies, the basic idea that we are covering in this module is we already know that electrons and protons are the source of charge at microscopic level. How are things at the microscopic level? So this is just a sample content. We are not going to properly write it out here in the interest of time. Once I've written this, I can just update or refresh this box in order to save the progress made here. Similarly, we can answer the questions. So let me just show you how to include images in this box. So this button allows us to include an image. Let's see what this button opens up. This button opens up a dialog box which takes an image URL to insert. Now, how to generate an image URL? To do that, what we're going to do is open this website called postimage.io. This website offers us an option of uploading our images from the desktop, and in exchange, what they provided is an embeddable URL. So if we click on choose image and then go to the location of the image that is saved in our desktop, it was in this particular folder. And you can see that we have got the link. So I would like to remind you, we want to use this particular link here. There are so many options. But the option that says direct link is the one that we are going to use in our platform. So I'll copy this link and I will go back to my platform here. And if I want to include the internal structure of insulator, this is the question here, right? So I can just simply click on the image button in the editor and paste that link. And once I hit OK, what I will see is that the image is included in our editor. So I'll just save the progress. And now if I want to include an equation, how to include an equation in the editor. So you can see that there is an option here, get embeddable links for equations. Now if I click on this button, it will open an equation editor. Let's write a very simple sample equation, A equals B plus C. So you can see that the image is generated here like this. Then I can click on copy to document, and then I get a URL in this text box. What I can do is cut this URL from here. I will use Command X because I'm using Mac. For Windows, you can use Control X. And whenever I want to paste this equation, I will go and just paste this equation. Alright, so these are the basic functionalities in our editor. And one more thing, just the way we were iterating between brainstorming and organizing section, we can iterate between the create section also. For example, if you click on this button edit structure, you will be taken back into the making module structure interface. If you click on write content here, you can toggle back to the create content interface. And once you're done making your content, or you're done for today, you want to continue working on it later, you just have to hit this button, save and continue. Once you do this, your module will be in either of these two locations, either the finished module location or unfinished module location. For example, if you want to visit our module, it's in the unfinished state right now. I will click on this link, and then I can see that this is the module I was making, charging of macroscopic bodies. So I can find my structure here by clicking on the link, and if I want to toggle into the create content screen, I can just simply click that button and reach here and start editing again. So in a nutshell, that is how you create modules, highly structured content in Lucid Learning.